Welcome to USB Hole, the podcast where we talk out of our asses. I'm Chill.
And I'm the child with no mustache.
And today, because I'm having this one come out first.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
okay. Surprise!
Surprise, she'll still have a mustache next week.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's funny. Anyway, so this week we're going to be talking about our shitty friend stories, inspired by a shitty friend we both used to have who started drama recently. So these are stories about things people have done to us that were shitty, things that we did to people that were shitty, and even a couple stories I think you have where people might have done something to someone else, like fans submitted.
Yes. I did get fan submitted stories through Twitter and
Yay.
Facebook.
Nice.
Yay. Fan submissions. We love it. Keep those
Love
coming,
it.
guys.
Love it. We
Love
just want to talk about you.
it. Yes. Um, one of the fan submitted stories was about me being a shitty friend, which I appreciated that honesty. And then two of the other fan submitted stories are about not about me.
That's a lot of like chutzpah to be able
Yeah.
to call you out on your own
Oh, it's
podcast.
great. It's all listed in the thing in the story too. It's pretty cool.
Love it.
I mean,
All
not pretty
right.
cool that I was shitty, but pretty cool that that they told the story like that.
Well, what kind of story should we talk about first? I think we should save fan submitted for a little later, right? Keep them guessing.
Sure. Let me
Your
read
piece
just
of
the let me
paper.
I have notes. Like I prepared and everything. I want to actually let me read this fan submitted story that's about me for being
Okay,
shitty. How about that?
go
We'll
for
cover
it.
that one.
Go for it.
Because this one we can use the name and everything. Okay, so Billy
Right out the
submitted
gate.
this. Yeah, Billy submitted this story through our Facebook prompt, and I'm gonna read it. She is an excellent story writer, so I kind of wish that she had more time to write this though. So I'm gonna read it word for word, and then I can kind of give my side of the story and everything. And I appreciate being called out. Okay, so Billy says, "This kind of feels like a trap, yo," with a little eye emojis. The only one that I can think of was the time you were supposed to come stay with me, and I got my house all clean and the guest bedroom ready, and I was super excited because you were going to be my first overnight guest in the apartment. But then you ditched me to go to see some random dude in Savannah. For the record,
Mm.
I'm 100% over this, only bringing it up because you asked. I love you dearly. You're an amazing lady and friend, and a little heart emoji. So I obviously knew exactly what this was about.
That's not as
So
bad as I thought it was going to be, honestly, because I feel like every person I know has ditched either me or some other friend for a
yeah,
boy.
but I mean, this is I mean, like this was like like you said, she had the chutzpah to come in here and like call me out
Oh,
on my
yeah.
post. So I
That
appreciate that.
was
Um,
that
but
was
I
good.
also try to be a good friend. So I feel like since I only got one shitty story that was about me, that I'm not telling from my side of the story. But so this did happen, and I did feel very bad. It was shitty of me to cancel on her. So
Oh, 100%.
I had moved back to Florida at this point, and she was my friend that I had met up in South Carolina, and we're still friends now. She just recently moved to Florida, so it's awesome. We get to see each other now. But a friend of mine from South Carolina passed away, so I had gone up to her funeral. Well, the guy that I was dating lived in Savannah, so we were doing long distance Florida to Georgia because South Carolina was like 30 minutes from where I lived to Savannah. I lived right at the border there. So that wasn't long distance, but living here, whatever. So that's how I had met him, through people up there. So anyway, um, he had to work that night. So I was going to stay with her because I didn't want to go back to his house and be alone. Well, when I was on my way up to the funeral, he had texted me and told me that his shift got switched and he didn't have to work. So being sad and wanting to be comforted by my boyfriend, and the fact that it was long distance, so I didn't get to see him a lot, I canceled the plans to stay at her house to go stay with him. It was shitty of me to cancel the plans at the last minute after she put all that work in. I'm admitting to that. That is shitty. But from my perspective, it was, I want to go fuck my boyfriend. But no, I wanted to be comforted by my boyfriend. So my rebuttal to her was, well, had that been like 5 years earlier, I would have just shoot for some random dude. So at least it was for like more than a random dude.
No, I'm with her on this one. You got her
But
hopes up. That was sad.
yeah, that's why I said I definitely agree with her. It was shitty of me to do to cancel on her at the last minute.
Like being ditched is one of the worst feelings, honestly.
At least I told her and I didn't just ghost her.
That's true. Because
But I
ghosting
mean,
is worse.
and we're still friends now.
Well, that's
So we
good.
moved
Yeah,
past it
she's the one you helped move in the other like month,
recently.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I mean, like we hashed that out already. She just brought it up again for the sake of the story, but we,
Obviously,
you
you helped
know,
her move.
yeah, but I mean, she didn't just hold it in. Like we discussed it as adults
Mm,
and moved forward from it, and I acknowledged that it was shitty. So,
that's
but I
mature.
appreciate that she like called me out on a public platform for everyone to see.
I love it.
So,
Everyone do that. That's fun. Call me out too. I don't care.
yeah, okay. Give me
We'll
one of
beef it
your
out.
shitty stories. It can be about you or somebody else.
Well, you alluded to ghosting, so I do have a story where someone ghosted me. Basically, I had a friend that we met when we worked at that rental agency together, and we immediately clicked, like immediately became best friends, hung out almost every day. Um, I think we met in like 2013, 2014, and were friends until like 2017. So a good 3 to 4 years, like of constantly hanging out. Cause I lived in DeKalb at the time, and so obviously like I was right there. We worked together, like we would always go hang out. And then sometimes there were times when like Eddie had to work far away or he was living back in Wheaton where we're from. So I couldn't see him as often except for like the weekend. So me and her hung out like all the time. And our third friend, Sam, who I've talked about before, was also like in our best friend group. Oh, so 2017 rolls around. Um, and that's the year that me and Sam both graduated college. We were in DeKalb because it was a college town. That's where we were going. And the best friend came to our graduation party and we all had like a really good time, blah, blah, blah. We hung out like maybe a day or two after that. And then a couple days later, like she just stopped talking to me completely, wouldn't text me anymore. And we would text all day, like how me and you do, like
No,
all day
no
long.
explanation, nothing.
No explanation. And I lived with our third best friend. So
Did
like
she die?
she would come over and she would just ignore me.
Oh, she
Or
would
like
go there? Like she
yeah.
didn't like just disappear
No, like her and Sam are still best friend, like good friends, if not best friends to this day.
and never gave you like a reason for why she just
And I think Sam might know, but I respect her decision to not get in the middle of it.
yeah,
So I never like pushed her for an answer. But I
yeah.
would text this third best friend and be like, what's going on? Like, can we talk about this? Like, what happened? I wrote her a letter. We still work together. So, like, I left it in her cubby at work and was like, can we talk about it? And after probably like a week of trying to get in touch with her, I stopped because I was like, well, that's at the point of harassment. She obviously doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I'm not going to keep harassing her. And of course, I was sad. So, like, I would be laying on the couch crying, and she would just walk past and say hi and go upstairs in my own house.
I wonder if
And,
she has access to hear this. If so, I'd really like her to tell us what happened. Even
I
if
mean,
it's
if
like
she hasn't
something,
5 years later, why would she? She obviously doesn't want to talk about it.
well, I mean, maybe this is her platform. Like maybe she feels like you wronged her in some way and she could use this to settle the score.
And I'm sure she does. Like, otherwise, why would you just ghost somebody like that?
I
But
fucking hate ghosting. It's so dumb. Just tell somebody why you don't want to talk to
yeah.
them anymore.
And if you didn't want to be friends, obviously we would have the same outcome anyway. But like, then it wouldn't feel super shitty. Like it would still have felt shitty losing a best friend that's going to feel shitty no matter what happens. But ghosting is like rip your heart
You,
out.
yeah, you at least would know why too. Like,
Yeah.
and
And
I feel like
I'm
you
assuming I
can't.
did something that wronged her because why else would that happen? I just honestly I can't I have a few things it could be and but I didn't think anything I did was bad enough to deserve the way it was handled, but I could be wrong. I have no idea. Like, I don't know.
I always feel like also, like when you do that, like how are you supposed to learn from what you've done and like grow as a person to not do whatever you did to more people? Like, yes,
Right.
maybe that's not my problem because you fucked me over, so I'm just gonna ghost you. But like, if you wronged me, I don't want you to wrong somebody else. So why wouldn't I
Right.
tell you what you did that's wrong so you don't do it to somebody else and then just say, I don't want to continue a relationship with you over this because of this.
Yeah, and
That's how I
obviously I
feel.
was respectful of boundaries because, like I said, after a week of trying to contact her, just as a like, is something wrong?
Yeah.
After a week, it's like, well, obviously something is wrong between us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop because you
Yeah.
don't want to talk to me specifically. But if she would have came and talked to me, like after the day even if she wrote a letter, like I would have stopped immediately, obviously, because then I wouldn't have needed to get that closure. And also, whatever I did to her, I obviously don't want to do to someone else. I don't want to cause anyone pain.
Yeah.
So to this day, 5 years later, along with whoever put that shit on my car, those birthday gifts, I stay up at night still wondering why I was ghosted. So, I have a lot of baggage here.
Yeah. All right. Let me tell you a story about a friend that was shitty to me.
Yeah.
I don't think any of mine really include ghosting stories because I try to find ones that were like a little more fishy. I don't know. I had a friend who I was very good friends with, and we lived together for a period of time. But aside from that, like she and I, like we did a lot of stuff together. Like I was friends with her boyfriend. We had a lot of mutual friends. We did a lot of stuff together. Well, when she and her boyfriend no longer lived together, she would do stuff that the boyfriend maybe didn't want her to be doing, like not cheating on him or anything like that, just whatever it may be, whether it be like drinking or going to a party or going to a club or whatever it would be, that he would just be like, oh, like he wouldn't want her to be doing that.
Yeah.
Well, she would lie to him and like tell him these stories like, oh, we went and we did this, or me and Teresa went and did this and Teresa did this, or um say Teresa and Sarah went out to the club and Teresa got so drunk that she passed out, or she
Don't
did
involve
this or
me in your
whatever.
lies.
No, I'm just using your name as an example,
No, I know.
but
I'm
she
saying
would
for someone
replace
else, like, don't
my
involve any
name
of us.
with her name. So the thing that she
That's
did,
even worse.
she would say that I did it because she didn't want him to know that she was doing it, because she didn't want to fight with him about it. But so instead, it made it look like I was doing these things and like I was being a bad influence or like a bad friend. And so then, like, he had this animosity towards me, and then we were no longer friends because
You're a
he
bad
thought,
influence.
which I mean, that's fine. Like, I was friends with him because they were dating. So, like, we didn't have an independent friendship. So I wasn't like trying to get, whatever. And I also wasn't going to be like, hey, listen, she's fucking lying because, like, that was
She
my
was your
friend.
friend. Yeah.
So, and I didn't want to get in the middle of whatever their shit was. But I just thought that was kind of shitty that, like, she made somebody think that I was doing these things that I wasn't doing
I
just because,
hate
like,
when people
you
do
want
that.
to
I
tell the
hate when people
story.
blame people for things and then make them look like shitty people to other people. That's not cool. Like, take responsibility.
I mean, I feel like I'm not justifying or not justifying her lying to him, but I think that it would have been better if she used like a made up name. Like, say she was just like, oh, Amanda did such and such. Don't say that I did it, because like he knows me. So now he thinks I'm a different person. And granted, yeah, I may have been doing some of those things like at periods in that time, but not like in those particular stories. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I don't know. I feel like that was kind of shitty because then that kind of like I held resentment against her for a while, like after they broke up, and it was like a little bit of a tiff between us for a bit. I mean, we're friends now, still a long time later, but I just I don't know. I feel like that was kind of shitty.
Well, you know how they say, like, if you get into a fight with your boyfriend or something, don't go talk shit about them to someone else because you're probably going to get back together, or like you're going to get over it, and then the boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever looks shitty to those people you just talked shit about them to.
Yeah.
And it's like now they have this bad perception because they don't know them as well as you do. So they don't
Yeah.
know all the good things they're doing. They're just hearing all these shitty things and they're like, well, why are you with them?
Yeah.
So that's like the same concept. My boyfriend used to do that shit to me. Like if he needed to make an excuse for like not going somewhere or not doing something to like his parents or something, he'd be like, oh, Sarah doesn't want to, or Sarah's not feeling well. It's like, no, don't put my name in your mouth. Like, leave me
Yeah.
out of this.
Yeah. Don't use me as the reason for that.
Yeah, because then I just look flaky as fuck. Like, you don't want to go. I don't want to go either, but you don't want to go, and this is your family. You tell them the truth or you give them a different lie.
Yeah. Don't use me as your scapegoat.
Because then I just look like an asshole all the time. So, like I told you before we started, these are from when I was a child because I couldn't think of anything because my memory is shit. So anything I
Not
did
because
as
you're a great friend that doesn't do shitty things.
no, I'm
You
sure
can't
I'm sure I've done something.
remember.
Obviously, someone ghosted me for something I don't remember doing, but I just don't remember what they are. So these ones are kind of stupid sounding, but at the time, because children are dramatic, I mean, it was still a shitty thing to do, but like we were children. So we had just had DARE, and for those who don't know what DARE is, it's like drug and something. I don't remember what DARE is, but
Drug
it was
and alcohol resistance education or something like that.
something like that, where they take you into like the gymnasium and they have like beer goggles that you have to walk around in. They teach you about how bad drugs are and how everyone's going to offer them to you, even though no one offers you drugs. They're expensive.
I mean, sometimes
So
people offer you drugs, but not randomly. Definitely not on Halloween.
yeah. I mean, have you ever like had razors in your candy? I just
No.
yeah. So fear mongering. But anyway, so we went to DARE, and that day we were talking about like sniffing glue or something, like how you can get high from like normal everyday household objects, which why are you telling this to kids?
So
Like
that they can get high.
Ignorance is bliss. This is why they stopped this program.
They were sniffing those Marks a Lot markers.
Yeah. And this is stuff we had all over school. So it's like, we're in 5th grade. We could just go around picking up glue and sniffing it. So we get back to class, and a couple days later, like someone was asking for the glue. And I looked over at her and I was like, why are you going to sniff it? And her and her friends like got so mad that I said that they all ganged up on me and started bullying me for it. And I was like, it was just a really shitty joke.
What were you, like
I'm
7?
sorry. Well, 5th grade, we would have been 10.
Oh, you were 5th grade? I missed that part.
Yeah. So I think DARE was in 5th grade. But I was just like, okay, what I said was shitty, and I acknowledged that and I apologized for it. But then they started like bullying me just because I asked for that. And I was like, I have a sick sense of humor. Like, I thought it was a funny joke, but they took DARE so seriously because we're in a Christian town, like heavily religious. So, like, stuff like that wasn't funny to them because they were all like, all their parents were like straight edge and very like, do not
They
do
didn't
drugs.
want people to think you were actually that they were doing.
Yeah.
They were doing the glue.
Yeah, so they took it extremely seriously, and I lost like friends over that and got bullied for it.
Oh.
So shitty thing I did. I mean,
I'm just gonna say you made
kind
a
of funny.
bad joke, but I feel like it was, I don't know. I don't think
if I said that in
shitty.
high school, people would have laughed.
Yeah.
It was
I
just because these were
you
like,
said that to me right now. Like,
I know. Fucking sniff it, you drug addict. But like at 10 years old, these kids were very like, do not do drugs. The cop told us we're gonna get in trouble, and then you make a fucking scary joke like that. So they weren't into that. I didn't think I deserved to be bullied for that really.
Yeah, I think that they took it out a little too far in the retaliation of your bad
They were
joke.
fucking dramatic.
I So I don't have any concrete proof on this one, so I'm not going to say specifically that it was this person, but I know it was this person. Came up to visit me when I lived in South Carolina and stole my engagement rings.
What?
So I had two of them because I had one that like he had proposed with, and then it was like a really cute, like one that he picked out that I would like, and then we went together and bought like a more expensive or fancier or whatever the hell you want to call it one. So I wore them both. Like I wore one on a different finger, Well, when we were no longer together, I still had them. They were expensive and they were pretty. Like, why would I get rid of them? I just didn't wear them on that finger anymore. Or sometimes I wouldn't wear them and I would keep them not in a jewelry box or where they would ever be found by anyone other than the person who knew where they were. And conveniently, after that person came to visit, they were no longer there. So, I mean, you can't tell me that she didn't take them.
That's fucked, dude.
Just in case Brandy's listening to this, it's not you, Brandy, it's somebody else. Because Brandy came to visit me at that same house in South Carolina, and I don't want her to think I'm saying that it was her, but so it's not you, Brandy, it's somebody else.
But would you still be friends with her if she did that?
Brandy?
Yeah.
I feel like she would need to tell me why she took them. Like if she had a good reason, like maybe she was in like a financial bind and she really needed the money and didn't know how to ask for help or something.
Yeah,
and
I think it's how they feel after the fact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because when we get into the next one, you'll see that my heart is too forgiving and I'm stupid. But that was pretty shitty, and I really miss those rings.
I was gonna say, I assume you didn't recover them at all.
No, because like it wasn't about the money. It was just like, even though I didn't get married, they still had like, especially the first one, like there was just sentimental value to it still. You know what I mean? More than the financial value. Like, yeah, I paid a lot of fucking money for one of those rings. Like, dumb bitch. I was in a mood before we started this episode, so.
Oh yeah, we were both in a mood.
Yeah, so when I get to some of these other ones.
Like I said at the beginning, this was inspired by a genuinely shitty person who we both know that kind of pissed us off right before this. So good headspace.
Literally,
good headspace.
As we hit record, I got a message that they were spreading lies about me. Like, I'm an adult. Why are we doing this? Anyway, go ahead.
If you're over like 20 years old, just calm down. All right. So the next one I have is a person who was a very long-term friend. So like met her in first grade, friends for a long time. And I mean, once I went off to college, it was kind of more like she came and visited me once. I would go back to Wheaton and like hang out. And when I was going to like community college, I would go to her house almost every single day. Like, and her apartment that she got after we got out of high school was like at least a 30-minute drive away from Wheaton, our hometown. So I was driving at least 30 minutes every day, an hour plus if I came back home that same night. So once I moved out to DeKalb, like I said, she visited me once and that was it. So I would go to Wheaton all the time. And like, if I went to her work or something, like she worked at a restaurant. So it's like weird hours. Sometimes it didn't always match up. So I'd go visit her at work. But again, she only visited me once. And then she moved out to DeKalb because she started
Did she have like any financial struggles or anything that would keep her from being able to be the one visiting?
No.
No.
I would say like neither of us were wealthy, and we both grew up in the same neighborhood, which was an unincorporated neighborhood. So neither of us had like money growing up either.
Okay.
But I would say after we got out of high school, like we had savings and neither of us were poor. We were both working. We had money from that. Like it wasn't And if she wanted gas money, I would have thrown down for her to come. I just want to see my friend.
Yeah.
So obviously I made friends in DeKalb, hung out with them all the time. Eddie came out, hung out with him. So kind of didn't really care that she wasn't coming to see me anymore, because at that point I was like, well, that's kind of annoying. So come visit me, don't, whatever. I'm over it at this point. So she ends up moving out to DeKalb to come to NIU. And we didn't really hang out then either, because at that point, like I said, I was hanging out with my other friends almost every day. So I just didn't want to, because I was kind of peeved that she never came out and saw me. So I had no interest. And then she was having a birthday party. They were all going to this club type thing. Probably Saddle Up, where we all went. I don't know why. That place was so trashy. Anyway, she asked me to come, and I was like, of course I'll come to your birthday party. Like, that sounds fun. And then maybe like a day or two before the birthday party, she goes, oh, by the way, I need you to be the designated driver.
What the fuck?
So after all this time of us not hanging
Can
out,
you? I need you.
well, I don't remember, but it was the way she said it was annoying enough that it sounded like I need you to do it in my head. Because the fact of the matter is, we haven't seen each other in years. You never came to visit me, and yet you want me to be DD. So
Yeah,
the
like
only
you
reason
only
you
invited me for that.
yeah, is to be DD. Like, I don't understand. So no, if I'm not gonna be a patron of your birthday party, whether I'm drinking or not, I shouldn't, like, I wanted to be with you and have fun. I shouldn't have to sit on the sidelines and watch all of you get to drink and have fun while I have to stay sober and drive you all home.
Yeah.
And this place wasn't close either. It was like 40 minutes away. So you want me to drive you and all your trash friends, because now I'm mad. You and all your trash friends, like, we've been friends since we were 6 years old. These people you've only known for 5 or less years. But I'm the one that has to DD? No. Maybe if we were hanging out all the time, maybe if like we had a relationship at this point, but at this point we don't. So don't ask me for favors. So
Yeah, that definitely makes it sound like the only reason you were invited was because they
exactly.
wanted to have a DD.
Exactly. So also, back when we were 18, we decided to go to this party, and 18-year-olds do, you drink. So they all come to my house, or we were at someone's house, I can't remember, before the party, just getting ready, like having a good time or whatever. And they told me that they decided before we went to this party that I would be the designated driver. So it was
Well-
this girl, and then it was like 2 more of our friends that we weren't super close to. And then it was another girl who she's still best friends with to this day, who is a piece of shit person. Right? This bitch hated me. Like, me and her were best friends in middle school, like 6th grade. And then she dropped me, became best friends with my best friend, and then turned everyone against me. So this bitch is now deciding that I'm going to be designated driver. Guess what? This party was on my 18th birthday. So not only do I now not get to drink, my birthday is stuck sober. We're 18 going, and I have to have a car full of drunk people, and I don't get to have any fun. I had 1 beer at this party, and she goes, raise your hand if you think Sarah shouldn't be drinking right now. Like, grow the fuck up, bitch. We were there for 6 hours after I had that drink. We're fine. God, I hated her.
Sounds like you picked some shitty friends.
And I mean,
It's like petty shit. Like petty shit.
Like, she dropped me, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, we're 12 years old. I don't give a fuck. But then to become best friends with my best friend, that sounded like it was done on purpose to come at me for something. I did nothing to this girl. Absolutely nothing. And so they're still like best friends, and I think she's just the biggest bitch I've ever met. I don't know now, because I haven't seen her in like years, and I actually went to Florida with her when we were like 19. That's when I got that tattoo, and she was a bitch then too. I mean, she's just not a good person.
Maybe hopefully she's not a shitty person anymore.
She has 2 kids, so I hope not.
I'm gonna
But yeah,
read. I'm gonna read another one of the fan submitted ones because it's a shorter one. Okay.
okay.
This one also came through Facebook prompt, and they asked to be anonymous.
Okay.
So she says, I went to Disney with my girlfriend's family. Now, when she says girlfriend, I don't think it means like significant other because I think they're like just like friends at like 13 or
Yeah.
something. So like for people say like, oh, my girlfriend, just for story reference. So I went to Disney with my girlfriend's family and she ended up stealing a souvenir shop, got caught maybe stealing at a
Souvenir shop.
stealing a souvenir shop, got caught with all of the items on her and tried to say I did it. 13 years old in another state without my family for 2 weeks. That was only the beginning of the trip. It was horrible. So this person was stuck there. So I said, did she ever fess up? Because now I'm like, I need more from my story, you know? And she says, yes, she had to go back down and do community service after going and appearing in court because of this. And then they had to stay there with them for like 5 more days. She said that they checked all of her receipts, which she had all of them on her, and they still gave her the blame with the other girl. Because I guess the other girl, they caught the other girl. I don't know.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And I asked if they remained friends, and she said no.
How can someone
But
who has all the stolen goods on them blame it on someone else?
like, what a shitty thing. Like, that's so mean. Just be
If
like, oh,
I'm
it was
going
her.
down, yeah, if I'm going down for something, even if other people were involved, I most likely will not take them down with me because it's usually not going to lessen
Yeah.
your own sentence.
Yeah. So, like, she could have just taken the blame because she did it, but instead blamed this person, this fan here. So then, even though the fan didn't do it, now they both had to come all the way back
Yeah.
to
What's the
Florida
point
from
of that?
wherever state, Pennsylvania, all the way back to Florida to go to court and then do community service. Like, what a dick.
Like
I
at
don't
my
care if she was a
work,
13-year-old girl. She was a dick.
yeah. When I worked at the rental agent place, we had a new employee and he wasn't new. It was more, he was there like a month. But when you worked at the front office, you would have to like turn the phones to the answering service at night because we're gone out of the office, but it still calls for like emergencies and stuff. So if you don't flip it to emergency, it's just going to go to voicemail, which is
Oh,
not good. So apparently one night it wasn't set and me and this guy were both working at that office, so they wanted to write both of us up and I was like, I've worked here like 3 years, just write me up. I think it was his fault, but like if
yeah.
only one of us should get in trouble for this, there's no reason 2 people should be getting in trouble because only one needs to set it. What I think happened is he said it and then I said it, which reversed it because I didn't know he knew how to set it.
Yeah. So then when
So
you said it, you were actually unsetting it.
unsetting it. And there
Yeah.
was no way to tell. So it was like, or there might have been a way to tell, but I didn't pay attention because I thought I was doing it. So I was like, just give it to me because I've been here longer. Like one write up over 3 years is different than one write up in 1 month of working.
Exactly. So you took the fall for that person versus that
No,
person being like, no, it was her. She did it.
he did try and blame it on me after the fact.
Oh, what?
Yeah, but I didn't know that until after we both got written up. So I was like, well, at least he still got written up because now I'm mad.
All right. So our last fan submitted one. I'm using all fake names and it's a little bit of a doozy. So I wrote it down so I could try to like make the fake names make sense. So this fan submitted story was submitted by, in this story, her name will be Liz. Okay. So Liz and Chad are married to each other. And Karen and Roger are married to each other. Liz and Karen, best friends, middle school, high school, after graduation, best friends. Chad and Roger, best friends, middle school, high school,
That's
after.
cute.
Yeah. It's not going to end that way. Chad and Roger both wind up in the military. Okay. They're not stationed together. Like they're not at the same place. Well, after a long series of events, come to find out, Chad and Karen have been having an affair for years.
Ooh.
So now Karen is being this super shitty friend to Liz, and Chad is being this super shitty friend to Roger. So this whole situation breaks up both of their marriages. They both have kids separately. Like
Oh my
the one
God.
marriage has kids, the other marriage has kids. Now, mind you, this is all taking place like by the time they're getting divorced, they're like 21 years old and like just cheating on their husband with their best friend's spouse. And then after the fact, Karen, the one that was fucking the other person's husband, Karen is trying to say that Liz was fucking her husband, but she never was. And like, isn't that always the case when somebody does something wrong and then they blame somebody else?
Yeah. Like, show me the Carfax.
I'm gonna blame you, like it was your fault, like you were the
Oh.
one doing the cheating, but really it was me, and I just am trying to cover it up and make you look bad.
Yeah, cheaters always tend to put what
Shady
they're doing on other
motherfuckers.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry that I botched that story, Liz. If you want to call in and do it in a recording, we can play it in a subsequent episode if you want to give us the dirt a little bit better on that one.
Call us right now.
Well,
Like, this is live.
right now when you listen to this. And keep submitting your fan submissions, guys. We really like that. I'll try to do a better job of reading them next time.
Oh man. All right. So my next one, I could tell my other shitty story again. I remember this being at the house I grew up in, which means I was no older than 13. So still kind of a child. I really can't think of any adult things that I can discuss. Like, this is just me being a shitty child or teenager, because I was. So this is so stupid. Like, this is the dumbest story I'm ever going to tell you. So I was talking to a guy and I had kind of a crush on this guy.
You were
And
13?
yeah.
Is he a
And
boy?
the fuck
Was
is
he
that
like
supposed to
around
mean?
your age? I don't know. When you say a
Oh,
guy, I'm just picturing like an adult man.
why can't I remember how much older he is than me? He might have been like 18 at the time.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
Okay.
he had a girlfriend, which I didn't like that he had a girlfriend. So I can't remember if I reached out to him or her because I had contact info for both of them. I think it was her though. I think I
He's
reached
like
out
a
to
creepy
her.
little 13-year-old.
This is so stupid. So I reached out to her and said, "This is Mrs. Fields, and your test results are in. You are pregnant."
Oh my gosh.
Like, trying to ruin their relationship, but
Yes.
who would believe that? So, oh, best part, this was over AOL Instant Messenger.
The test results for your pregnancy came in through AOL Instant Messenger.
Yes. Like, in my 13-year-old brain, I kind of knew it wouldn't work, but I
This sounds
also
like some kind of
went for
shenanigans
it.
that would take place in like an after school special.
I am the after school special. Don't sniff glue and don't write to people on AIM that their pregnancy results are in.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's funny.
it got back to him, obviously, and he was upset with me. And I was like, why are you upset? Obviously, this isn't believable. Like, she's just stupid if she believed that at all. Like, be upset with her for being dumb. And so obviously he didn't talk to me after that. And I don't know how other people found out about it, but my sister-in-law thought it was funny and she started calling me like Mrs. Fields cookies. And because, like, who would believe that? Who gets mad over that even? Like, I was 13.
It's funny. But
It was
also,
funny. So
like,
stupid.
did that person know you were only 13?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So
We
I
were
feel
all
like
in
it
like a
should have been
bowling
more
league
like a
together.
oh, it should have been more of like a chance for them to use that as like a life lesson for you.
Well, like
I'd have
we
pranked you
knew each
so
other
hard, but
in
I would have
person.
pranked you so hard, and I would have been like, "Oh my god, so and so's pregnant. We're breaking up. She's cheating on me," and like done this like whole big like
That's what I
ordeal about
wanted.
it. No,
I would
but
have been
like
happy.
yeah, but like faked it and then like had her be like, I am pregnant. And then they're like, oh, we got a paternity test and it's your baby. And like this whole thing to like put it back in your face. But also you're only 13. So I feel like maybe that would have been a good idea.
No, he like, I don't remember whatever happened, but he like went off on me and I was like, dude, what the fuck ever, I don't care. But so it just proves that I was a shitty kid. But
You just did
I
dumb kid shit.
I mean, if someone did that to me like today, I would just laugh. Cause that's just so stupid. Like
Like the
what
fact that
doctor
it
would
was on
ever
AIM.
contact someone over AIM? Like they wouldn't ever
Oh
in
my
a million
god, that's
years.
so funny.
So even if someone texted me and was like, your test results are in, if I didn't take a pregnancy test, why would I be mad at that?
Did you send it from like your regular AIM account or did you like make a fake
No,
one?
I made a fake one.
Okay. Because it would have been so
You
funny.
can make those like that. They were
I
easy.
know, but like if you made it from your regular everyday one.
I wasn't that stupid.
Oh man, that's really funny.
So I don't know if he's still mad at me about it. I mean, that was like,
I
what,
would
20
say
years ago almost?
probably not. I would say he's probably not mad about that.
The funny thing was the year before that. So I must have been in eighth grade when that happened because I moved in between eighth grade and freshman year. Um, in seventh grade, I dated his little brother. So like I was trying to go after the older brother after breaking up with his little brother. Like it was weird. I just thought that was funny.
Okay.
Like
Do you
not
want to,
nice because I was trying to break them up, but I still think it's funny.
but like funny, like in a like as an adult, you're like, oh my god, that's so ridiculous and childish. But like as a 13-year-old, you probably thought you were like had it in the bag. You're like, I'm gonna show him.
I
You
didn't
were
though.
that
I just hated
girlfriend.
her. So I was like, I'm just gonna say anything that'll like annoy her.
Like as if she didn't know she didn't go take her pregnancy
Yeah.
test. I feel like it would have made more sense if you sent the thing to him saying her pregnancy test results were back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember if I sent it to him or her.
Oh, okay.
But I know I had both of their like AIM screen names. So I don't know. It could have been either one. It could have been both. I don't know.
Oh man. Aim. What a good time. I
What a
miss
good
Sam.
time.
Yeah. Okay. I have two shitty friend stories left. One is about me being a shitty friend, and it's personally, in my opinion, the shittiest thing I've ever done as a friend. And the other one is like an ongoing thing that a shitty friend did to me. Which one do you want to hear first? Which one do you want to close it out with?
I kind of want to close it out on you being shitty. So
You want to close it out on me?
yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you about my shitty friend. Okay. This person, this was like an ongoing, like, we started being friends. We met in high school, and we were friends in high school. We hung out. We stayed friends long after high school, even after she fucked me over a couple times. Like, I let her live with me more than one time. So, she like she's like a fucking pathological liar. Like, is that's the only explanation. Like, has to be like a legit sickness. Like, she has to not be able to control it because I don't understand how somebody could be like this. She had to have been a pathological liar because it's the only way you can explain the amount of lies that this person told. So she would like lie to her parents, which, you know, a lot of teenagers do that. And
Yeah.
I would just back her up because I was her friend and, you know, that's what I would do. And now don't get me wrong, like we had a lot of good years during our friendship and a lot of good times, and she wasn't always shitty, but in the end, like the shit outweighed the good, you know?
Right.
So, like I said, constantly lying, I would cover up her lies. And like some shit was just big. And it's like, I don't want to go into full detail about some of the shit because not that she's going to hear this, but if any of her family hears it, like, I don't want to make bad shit for them. You know what I mean? And they'll just know. But so one year for Christmas, Somebody gave my mom like $100 gift card to some restaurant. It was like on our Christmas tree. Well, she came over and we went out and I was test driving Jeeps because I was looking to buy a new car. So we went test driving vehicles. We got back and she was gonna go use the restroom. So I went to my dad's office and I was like telling my dad about the Jeep or whatever. And then after a little bit, she comes in, think nothing of it. We hang out at the house for a while and then she leaves. Well, the next morning, because my mom had come home at some point in time, she wasn't there then. Well, the next day, my mom's like, hey, did anyone see what happened to the envelope that was on the Christmas tree? We're all like, no, what envelope? She's like, the one with that, it had a gift card in it. We searched the whole fucking house, cannot find this gift card. So then my mom's like, oh, you know what? I think you can call and check them. Like, this is a good 15 years ago, probably. So she calls the number on the back and they're like, oh yeah, there's a zero balance. And she's like, oh, well, does it show you like where you use it or anything like that? And they're like, oh yeah, we can see what date and time and location it was used. So it's that location. It was like a Cody's Roadhouse, I think that's what it was, but it was right by her house. Like the one that was like right by the apartment that she lived in with her boyfriend. So my mom calls there and they're like, yeah, we have cameras. They put the cameras, the description, like they're like looking at it, it matches her and her boyfriend exactly. So then my mom calls her out on it. She's like, you fucking steal this from me. And she winds up finally like admitting that she took it and then eventually gives my mom the $100, which she got from her mom. Like she didn't give it to my mom. Her mom gave it to her. So I'm like, that's shitty. I can't be friends with you anymore. So then like a few months go by and like she's apologizing. And I'm like, if my mom says that, she's going to forgive her, or that people can learn from their mistakes, I'll give her another chance and we can be friends again. So we be friends again. But at the same time, my mom always had her like trepidations and she's like, I'm never going to fully trust her, blah, 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 whatever. Well, my job that I worked for was moving to South Carolina. So I got relocated with the company. I got her a job with the company because she wanted to move with me because this is a couple of years in the future now. So now we're like 21 or 21 at this point. And she was renting a room from me for like 4 months or something. And then she's like, oh, I need something new. I want to come with you. So I get her a job at the company, make an appointment to go up and look at a house up there, get up there. And then she's like, yeah, I don't want to move now. I'm like, okay, I get that you don't want to move, but like I got you this job, I like did all this stuff, and now you're not gonna do it. I'm like, whatever, I get it. Moving to a new state is a big deal, it's a big change, whatever. So then again, fast forward maybe 2 years, I had at this point now stopped renting a house up there and I had purchased a house, and I had lived in that house for maybe like a year or whatever. And she's like, I need a change. I want to move up. So she's like, can you get me a job? So I asked my boss and he's like, no, fuck no. He's like, I offered her a job last time. She screwed us over. She didn't take the job. So no, she can't have a job. So I don't remember if I said that he said no, or we just didn't have openings, or what the deal was. But so she moves up. She rents a room from me for a while. Well, she stayed there for free for a while. And then like she would pay like the electric bill and wash the dishes instead of paying rent for a while. And then she got a job and then she paid the electric bill and like a little bit of rent to me. But nothing like if she was renting a room somewhere else,
Yeah.
So then she's living there and then she's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay here, whatever. And then next thing you know, she's like, oh, I found a little apartment I'm gonna move into. So because she had some new friends that she met when she moved up there, and then she got this apartment because she wanted to be able to like, oh, I want to do this, and if I'm going to pay the rent, I want to have the house, whatever. I get that, whatever. So you just up and move. Then you get to the new apartment and then you're like, oh, I don't want to live here anymore. Can you help me move out? So then I go, stop what I'm doing. We move her out, move her back into my house. She's there for like a month. And then the same thing. She moves to Charleston. She's renting a room with some friend of hers. Then calls me in like the middle of the fucking night one night. He's like, I got to move out. I can't stand these fucking people, blah, blah, blah. So I go up, I help her move out. She comes back to my house. And then later on, the people that she was living with wound up like finding me through Facebook and being like, hey, she's a fucking liar. She stole rent money, blah, 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 whatever. Oh, mind you, another time when she lived down in Florida, I went to a party at her apartment, and the next morning, her roommate accused me of stealing rent money because the rent money was gone. You know, why would someone who lives there steal the rent money? Well, she stuck up for me and she was like, no, she didn't fucking steal it. It was probably one of your friends. Well, when push comes to shove and you add up all these stories, I feel like she's probably the one who stole the rent money, but I don't know that, so I'm not going to say it.
Use the party to hide it.
Yeah. But in that case, like, she did say, no, she didn't steal it. You can fuck off. Like, and she moved out. But did she move out to like stand up for me, or did she move out because she stole the rent money and she had to move out? So yeah, that was a little unclear. But so anyway, so now, you know, we're back. We're in the middle of the night. I went up to Charleston, got her stuff, brought her back to my apartment. And next thing you know, her parents are paying for her to go to real estate school. So, because they buy and flip houses. So they're like, it'll be better if, you know, you have the license and you can do it. So she goes to real estate school. She gets the license. She buys a condo because they want her to have the condo because they're going to then flip it. So she moves to the condo. And then next thing you know, like, she's got a boyfriend. Cool, whatever. Well, then I wound up no longer working at that company. So it was like, why do I want to stay in South Carolina? Like, I want to go back to my family. Like, you and your boyfriend are here. Like, you're 30 minutes away. It's not like you live right here. Like, I'm going to go back to my family in Florida. The only reason I moved to this town was for work. So I moved back to Florida, and she was so pissed and mad about it because, oh, you just left me up here, whatever. I'm like, okay, you picked that location to move because I lived there first, but we didn't live together. You had a fucking boyfriend, and I wasn't going to stay where I didn't want to be just because you also relocated somewhere else. Like, that wasn't on me to tell you to stay there. Like, yeah, you didn't know other people, but you made friends. Just like I moved there and I met people, and you weren't paying my bills, and I had to pay bills. I needed to get a job. So I moved back to Florida and got a different job, you know? So it might have been shitty of me to like leave the state after she moved up there, but she had people. I didn't leave her alone, you know?
And you didn't ask her to move up there. It'd be a
I
different
asked her to move
story
up
if you
there
did.
when I moved up there, and then she didn't move. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I mean, like, she sounded like she wanted to follow you. Like, that was the whole purpose.
Yeah.
And you got her the job, but that doesn't mean you were like forcing her to come with you.
Yeah. So, yeah, so now I'm back in Florida at this point, and then she calls me one day because like we talked all the time, like as much as me and you talk pretty much, but we also would talk on the phone for like hours. Like if we were at the grocery store, we'd just like be on the phone doing whatever, just be on the phone, you know? We were like attached, like in a like codependent kind of way. Like we used to tell people we were hetero life mates. Like that's how close we were. Like I would say she was probably the most comfortable, like the person that I could most comfortably be myself around. That's why it hurt me so much, all the shitty fucking things. And then like the ultimate shit thing that she did. Like I could be 100% myself around her. Like even with Brandy, like sometimes I'm still reserved on some things. Like I don't relax as much. And Brandy's been my best friend for almost 30 years, you know? But so now she's living up there and I'm back in Florida. She calls me. She's like, oh yeah, proposed to me. Yeah, we're gonna get married. I'm like, oh wow, congratulations. When did you guys get engaged? It was like 2 days prior, or like the day prior. She called one of her other friends that live down here in Florida and told her, but didn't tell me. So I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, congratulations. Then fast forward a couple months, and she's like, hey, guess what? We're moving to Florida. We came down last weekend. We found an apartment. I'm like, wait, so you came to Florida last weekend and you didn't tell me or see me? Like, you told me you were doing such and such. So I'm like, all right, well, we wanted to surprise you. Like, okay, sounds kind of sketch, but whatever. So she moves down here and they find this apartment and they're living there, whatever. Well, then all of a sudden, like, he needs to get a different job. I don't know the situation, whatever. So he goes off to trucking school. He fails his drug test at trucking school because he tested positive for marijuana. So he gets kicked out of trucking school. So they can't tell her parents this because they paid for the trucking school, because they'll be pissed. So she calls me. I give her $200 for him to buy a bus ticket to come back home. It's been fucking 10 years and I never got that $200 back, just FYI. So then now he's not in trucking school. Now they don't have money. They need to move out of their apartment. So my fucking mom, who she stole that money from, remember that? Like years earlier, my mom says, okay, you guys can move into the spare bedroom. So my mom, again, the same one that she stole from, opens up her house to her husband, and their giant fucking dog. Lets them come live with us. Did not charge them rent because she wanted them to save their money so that they can get an apartment. They were supposed to pay half the electric bill because they had 3 people that moved into the house, or excuse me, 2 people that moved into the house. So there was 4 of us living in the house. So you pay half. No rent at all. Never paid my mom. They lived there for 2 months. One day in the middle of the day, I'm at work, and then I noticed this weird, vague Facebook post, and I'm like, something's not right. So then the next day, they get a U-Haul because they're like, oh, we're just going to move up and stay with my mom for a while. We're going to be leaving this weekend. We're going to get the U-Haul and pack up, and we'll leave this weekend. So I'm like, okay. But again, I just had this like odd feeling. So I go to work, and then I see, it was that day with the big post. Like I already knew they were getting the U-Haul and it was the weekend or whatever. I see this post and it's just like odd. So I call her. She doesn't answer the phone. And then I call again. Well, then it turns into you and your mom are a piece of shit, and all you do is talk shit about my husband's family, which mind you, we don't, because his aunt, I absolutely fucking loved his aunt. And I didn't know the rest of his family, his aunt and his cousin who I dated. But I loved his aunt. I still fucking love his aunt. She's a super nice woman. Anyway, so then proceed to go on to like Facebook and post about how, oh, we got to get out of this town, these two-faced bitches. And like, what the fuck? So they just like dip out. They leave a bunch of trash behind. They leave some of their fucking furniture behind. They leave a nasty mess of shit in the fucking, like, we had a second refrigerator, so it was in that room they were using. So they had their own fridge and they didn't have to like not have their privacy and stuff. Yeah. Like the refrigerator was disgusting. Like just left this giant mess, just dipped out in the middle of the fucking day. Never paid me the money. Never gave my mom a fucking dime. And then just talked a bunch of shit. Like what is wrong with somebody that like after everything you've done and these people stood by you and then you just like, I'm still so confused. And to this day, like I said, that was in 2014. So 8 years later, I have still not spoken to her. She's not reached out to me. She is the one person I will never forgive her again. Like I gave you another chance. All the shitty fucking things you did. Like you fucked me over, okay, but you fucked my mom over twice. Like fuck you. I'm so mad now thinking about it again. But like I will tell you straight up, if you ever fucking listen to this, you know who you are. You can go fuck yourself.
You can fuck with someone's mom.
Do you have another story? Because I'm fired up now. Did you have another one, or was it me being shitty?
No, I have another one. So it's basically someone I knew since I was very, very tiny. We're friends growing up. Like, she was not much older than me, but she was like older than me when we were kids. So it was like she was much older than me, because when you're a kid, you think. Yeah. Like I was in elementary school, she was in high school. Like you think high schoolers are old. Yeah. So once she turned 18, it was kind of like, oh, I'm even like senior year of high school. She's like, oh, I'm not really hanging out with this kid that much anymore, because what are we gonna do? Yeah. So I mean, we still talked, and like she ended up working where I did at one point when I was older, and like we started talking more when I became an adult, and like kind of got back together. But her in general is just what I would consider a narcissist, like to the books. Like always late, has never once been on time for a single thing. Not once. Like work, meeting up, doing anything, nothing. And she sees no problem with that.
Hate that shit.
I hate that shit too. And I know some people who have like ADHD, they have an issue where they just lose track of time, can't be on time. But most people I know that end up doing that either let you know, like, hey, I'm gonna be a little late, or like apologize profusely when they get there, or like feel some kind of guilt about it. She could not care less. It was your fault she was late, actually. And it was pretty much your fault for anything that went wrong in her life. So any boyfriend she's ever had, it was their fault for everything. Any friend she's ever had, she has kept a lot of friends who kind of remind me of her. So I think it's like birds of a feather flock together type thing.
I can't stand when people don't own up for their own. Like, take responsibility for your shitty actions.
And she just fights with everyone. Nothing is her fault. Not a single fucking thing. She loses friends, but then they all get back together. Like, I've known her for life, so I would always talk to her. We would get into a huge fight, and then we would come back together like nothing ever happened. And I'm not the type to hold grudges, so that's just my personality. Like, she's never done anything bad enough to me to where I wanted to drop her completely. But when we went to a concert, it wasn't a concert, it was more like why can't I think of what they're called?
Like a festival?
A festival, yeah. So it was by her place, and we were going to get a ride to the train station from her later. That didn't happen because her and her boyfriend were wasted. So we had to walk in a shady area of Chicago, like 2 hours back to the train station, because Ubers weren't really a thing at the time. And taxis were expensive as shit, and we were like 21 years old. So I don't know, like everything revolves around her. Everything. Nothing is her fault, and everything has to be her way. And it's just like over time, it's just you get sick of it. Like, it's not that I hate her as a person. I don't hate her at all. Like, it's just I don't have any interest in being friends with her, really, because as much as I love her,
traits are shitty.
Yeah, I do love her, but it's just I had enough of the drama. So like I haven't talked to her we talked, but I haven't hung out with her pretty much since that festival, and that was 2012, maybe.
Yeah. It sucks too, because sometimes it's like you can love a relationship or a friendship with somebody so much, and like love that person so much, but at some point, like, the bad parts of them just outweigh the good, no matter how good those good things were. And it's too much, and it has to come to an end.
Oh yeah, we had tons of good times, tons of fun. Like, when it was good, it was good. But when it was bad, it was really dramatic. And I just, even as like a kid, I was like, this is a bit much. But then when I got older and older, I was like, all right, enough already. You're like 7 years older than me. Come on.
Yeah. It becomes exhausting.
Oh, so exhausting.
So let's end this off with another, like I said, while talking about other people being shitty friends, like, I will admit that I also have been a shitty friend, and I have done shitty things. But this particular thing, even though like we've squashed the beef, and like I cannot stop apologizing for this. This is just like, I feel like this is the shittiest thing I've ever done. And it was to Brandy. And like, she knows that, like, I mean, I constantly fucking tell her how bad I feel about it. It still eats me up, and it's been like fucking 14, 15 years since this happened, and I just can't get over it. But yeah, so Brandy and I were living together. She was single, and she was talking to this guy, and like they would hang out sometimes, and like they would hook up, but like she was like, I don't know, I like him. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's so different than everyone else I've dated. And, you know, I just want it to be more. Like, I want to date him and not just like hang out or hook up or whatever. So she was like, you know, why don't you talk to him and like you can say some good things about me and then like find out if he'd be interested in like, you know, making it more serious. And so I don't really know how we came about me actually starting to talk to him because I don't remember how I got his phone number because like he knew I was her roommate, but like I had never met him. So like that part I don't completely remember. I don't remember how I got the number, but so basically, like I did that for a while, like a couple weeks, and I would like tell her what he would say and all that stuff. And then it got to the point where like he would just say such nice stuff to me. And mind you, like I had zero self-confidence, and this was also not justifiable, but this is the reason that I continued to do what I did. So this was shortly after my fiance and I broke up, and I was like completely heartbroken and like I don't know, like I had never been sexually active with anyone aside from my fiance. So like I didn't talk to guys, like this wasn't me. And like I wasn't used to people giving me attention. And Brandy's fucking gorgeous. So like the fact that this guy who like got this great job and a good head on his shoulders, mind you, like he wasn't my type, like physically attractive, like how I would typically like talk to a guy, but like his personality was really nice. So like the more I talked to him, like to try to get him together with Brandy, the like nicer he became to me and like showed me all his attention that I like couldn't believe that somebody would show me over Brandy. And I'm like, you know, wow, you know, this guy must really like me if he's, you know, talking to me and Brandy's so gorgeous. And, you know, like that was just like the mindset, like how I was like thinking in my head, you know, I'm like, wow, but I'm like, no, that's not right. So like I would talk to him about that and be like, you know, well, she really likes you. And he's like, well, you know, I'm kind of into you. What if we just hung out? Well, I had his number like saved in my phone under a different name at that point because like I knew Brandy would sometimes pick up my phone and like read the messages about her because it's, you know, what we would do before. So then I had changed the name. And mind you, like even telling the story now, like I feel like such a fucking piece of shit. Like I'm sure you can see where this is going. So the one night he's like, oh, well, you know, do you want to hang out or whatever? Well, he lived in Tampa. So it was like a hour drive where we lived, or like 45-minute drive from the house that we rented. Well, my car didn't have air conditioning. So I fucking borrowed Brandy's car, like with her permission. I just told her I was going to hang out with somebody. I borrowed her car and she had a GPS. This is like back before phones had GPSs, you know? So his address was already in the GPS. Well, but I couldn't let her know. So like I had to clear it out because otherwise it would show us the most recent address. So I used her fucking car to go hang out with this dude that I was supposed to be talking to get him to want to date her. And then I wound up fucking him that night. And again, like I said, like I had only ever been with my ex who didn't even like, I lost my virginity to him after we were engaged, like a couple months before we were supposed to get married. Like that's how I was. But I wound up like sleeping with this guy just because of the fucking attention he gave me. And I'm like, wow, I'm just a piece of shit person, regardless of the fact that I'm supposed to be like talking him, like her up to him. So yeah, I fucking took her car to go hang out with this dude that I was supposed to be setting her up with. And then fucking had sex with him and then lied to her about it. And then wound up doing it a second time. And then finally, like the guilt just like ate at me so bad that I like had to tell her. I think it was maybe like a week or maybe 2 weeks tops before I like told her about it. And I just like felt so bad. And like she was never mad. And like never visibly mad. Like I never could tell that she was upset. And I don't know if maybe that's why I still like feel like we haven't cleared the air, even though she's like accepted my apology so many times. And like we had this stupid thing that we did as like a retaliation for her to like be able to make it even or whatever. And it was just a really fucking shitty thing to do.
It's like when your parents say they're not mad, they're just disappointed. Like that's how it sounds like she was.
Yeah, so I feel like all these years later, like, I don't know if she really just doesn't care or if she's forgiven me or if she was just, like, so bad that, like, she just didn't know how to react. Like, I still feel bad about it because I feel like it was 100% a shitty, unjustifiable thing to do. And I'm like, you sending people messages on AIM talking about how you were a shitty friend, and I'm like, I literally, like, did the exact opposite of what I was supposed to be doing for the two of them, and then slept with them. And like I said, I like second person I ever slept with. Like, that's shitty. Like, I don't even know how to explain it other than like it was shit. Like,
Brandy
tell me it was
messaged me and
shitty.
message me and tell me if you're playing a long con right now to get
I,
back at her.
I honestly don't know if Brandy listens to this podcast or not.
Oh,
She doesn't really listen to podcasts.
that's how
I
she's
feel
getting
like
back at you.
I feel like I could specifically ask her to listen just for the feedback, but then I feel like that would be doing something for me, and like I
No,
don't
it's for
deserve
me. I
it.
want to know.
Oh, she could privately tell you maybe. Because
That's why I
I
said
don't
DM me.
deserve the justification. Like, I don't deserve the resolution and whether or not she's mad.
I don't want to downplay if she is mad or not because she can feel however she wants to feel. But I think you make it sound way worse than it is.
Dude, I fucking stole this dude from her instead of setting her up. Then took her car. Like, lied
Yeah,
about
but that
it.
just sounds like some high school bullshit. Like,
Okay, but we were 21, so that's not high school.
that's still children to me. Like, your brains aren't fully developed. I don't know. I
Uh,
think you are too hard on yourself for this. And like I said, I'm not discounting any way she feels because she could feel however she wants about it. Like, it happened to her, but I don't think it's that bad.
I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty shitty thing to do.
At the time, it's shitty. And like, obviously, when you're a kid, things like that are way worse in your life than it would be now because I don't know. I feel like things are more overblown. Like, she wasn't actually dating him. She wasn't married to him. She wasn't anything with him. If they were dating or married or any of that, like the other story with Liz and Karen, like that's terrible. But
But I mean, like, they were hanging out and like talking and like sleeping
they
together.
weren't
They
even
weren't
close
just
to dating though.
no, but they were like they knew each other. It wasn't just like she was like, oh hey, I think I like this guy, do this. And also she was my best friend, not just like some random person. I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty shitty thing to do to your friend. Like, I would be fucking pissed if somebody did that to me.
Guys, especially at that age, and a lot of them that we knew, I don't know about you, but they were kind of sleazy and would
Yeah,
just
but
sleep
I
with
wasn't.
anyone. Okay,
Like I said,
but if he was
I only
sleazy
had sex with
and
one person.
but if he was sleazy and he was sleeping with more than one person and obviously not trying to date her, obviously is very okay with sleeping with her best friend, then you did her a favor because she should
Yeah, I
not
mean
have
he's
dated him anyway.
yeah, I mean obviously he was a piece of shit, but I don't feel like that justifies me being shitty.
No, it
But
doesn't,
also he
but
wasn't our age. He was like 30 something.
exactly.
Which now that I'm 35 totally tracks as something that a 30 something year old fucking dude would do.
Exactly.
But
He's trash. Trash. So in the grand scheme of the situation, I don't think it's as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. It may feel like that to you, but I say if she's over it, then
I can be over it.
yeah.
I've done shitty things, but these are specifically like shitty things to friends. Like I've done shitty things that were not like directed
Yeah,
at a
right.
friend. Yeah. So tell us your like if you have more feedback on more shitty friend stories, send them out to us on that Facebook prompt or on Twitter at Chillinchild. Also, if you just have beef with a friend, it doesn't even have to be that like a friend was shitty. Just send us your friendship beefs, and maybe we'll like read them and like say if you should be beefing or tell you how to squash that beef.
And if you're the person who goes to me, can you just fucking tell me what I did?
Yeah, tell Sarah why the fuck you ghosted her.
She probably doesn't listen to this. She doesn't even really have social media, but I need
Well,
closure, man.
I think that I ran this episode way too long. So We're gonna close it out. Not the closure you need, but the closure you're gonna get. And we'll catch you next week.
Peace out, Girl Scout.